So according to the job site Monster, companies on average spend about £4,500 on recruiting a new member of the team. To be honest, I think that's a conservative number when you take into account agency fees and the time and the effort that goes into finding and sourcing a good candidate. And there's lots of evidence to suggest we're nowhere near as good at gauging candidates as we think we are, even when you bring things like psychometric profiling into the mix. And what troubles me in all this is the cost of failure. How much it costs when it doesn't work. Because it is quite difficult to come into a new company with all of its entrenched positions and its kind of unique culture and to try to fit in. And for human beings who are uncomfortable in the unfamiliar, often people will freak out after a few months and will either go back to the company they used to work for or leave and go somewhere else. And so you end up with this washing machine effect of continually replacing people. And in fact, a number of years ago, one of my clients who was in a service industry and it was constantly recruiting, we explored the idea of me providing 3 months coaching support to anyone new into the company to help them and give them a sounding board for someone to talk to about what they were struggling with in the company. But one thing is true now, we seem to be in an employees market. There are more jobs out there than there are employees to fill them. And this is an important dynamic in recruitment. But what if the answer to the challenge that you're trying to fix with recruitment is right under your nose? What if there is someone with the latent but as yet not fully uncovered talent and ability to step up into the role you want them to step into? You see, when I worked at Tesco's, we used to have a secretary in the typing pool in my department called Julie. And she was by most accounts pretty lazy. She had a really bad attitude. She was often late, quite a lot of sickness. And then one day Julie applied for a role outside of the department, a much bigger role, a supervisory role, and she was successful. And so off she went to work, setting up a new department in the HR function. And by the way, the irony of that was not lost on us. And a few months later, I bumped into Julie in New Tesco House quite early in the morning. And that was a surprise in itself because I'd never seen her at any time before 9 o'clock. And I asked her how the new job was getting on. And she turned around, she said, I'm working 12-hour days because we're so busy setting everything up and getting everything ready and recruiting. She said, but I'm really enjoying it. So the thing for Julie is she was on the right bus, but she just wasn't in the right seat. The role she had wasn't giving her enough to drive her forward. So what if you've got a Julie sat in your business who, with the right degree of development and the right behavioural transformation, could step up and do a much bigger role for you? Wouldn't that be something worth investing in? So you could put them through my leverage leadership program. Now that may not transform them completely. I mean, it does sometimes, but it may give them that 10, 20% incremental edge that makes all the difference in terms of the value they give to you and to your company.